Good day. By the way, I am Regine Ortega, your discussant for today. And today we will discuss one literary piece came from Bicol, titled The Quarrel of Volcanoes. To know further about the story, let's go to the story's background. The Quarrel of Volcanoes is a story came from Bicol region, what I have said lately. It is a story about two gods that live inside the mountains. There was no certain time that the story was being made. The author of the story is Venancio Prietoziga. So who is Venancio Prietoziga? To know about him, let's go to the next slide, the author's background. Venancio Prietoziga, born March 24, 1904, a immediately family San Ingracio rather, Prietoziga and Petruna Prieto, husband of Tecla San Andres Ziga, father of Victor Ziga, brother of Rosano Ziga and Lorenzo Ziga. Venancio Ziga was elected of Tobago in Albay in 1940. He served as first lieutenant and captain for the United States Army Forces in the Far East during World War II. He would serve as governor of Albay from 1946 to 1951. So, before anything else, let's unlock first the difficult words that we encounter from the story. Unlocking difficult words. First, subordinate means lower in rank or position. Second, mooning, make a long, low sound expressing physical or mental suffering or sexual pleasure. Next, crater, the bowl-shaped depression around the orifice of a volcano. Next, abode, a place of residence, a house or home. Next, wrath, a strong, stern or fierce anger, deeply resentful, indignation, ire, vengeance or punishment as the consequence of anger. Next, omnipotent or of a deity, having unlimited power, are able to do anything. Lastly, conflagration, an extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land property. So, that's all the difficult words that we encounter from the story. We have two characters of the story, which is first, Gugurang, the good god who lives inside Mount Mayun, and he is recognized as the guardian of the people. Second, Aswang, he is the evil god that lives inside Mount Malinaw, and he is in way of Gugurang's power, having fire and being recognized as the guardian of the people. And now, let's read the story. Long ago, when the world was still young, the good god and evil gods were not yet enemies, as they are now. They were friends, each living separately in a mountain. One report even said that they were brothers. Gogurang, the good god, was living inside Mount Mayun, and Asuwang, the evil one, inside Mount Malinaw. As gods, they had control of the welfare of the people. But Gugurang was more powerful than Aswang, who was merely a subordinate. The former was the chief deity or kagurangan of the Bicols. Now, Gugurang was given full control over the people, who learned to look up to him for protection or for advancement. Whenever the people disobeyed his order or wishes, he would cause the pit of the Mayun volcano to rumble terribly. The people in time took this as a sign of warning, and accordingly mended their foul ways. Or if their sins were beyond forgiveness, Gugurang would make the volcano erupt to wipe out the sinners. Gugurang then became the symbol of the good God, or an mga maharhay, ready to punish the bad, or an mga maraot. When the people saw fire o kalayo flowing out of the crater of Mayon, they would grow afraid. They would then offer a sacrifice or atang to him to appease his wrath. The Balyana priestess officiated in the ceremony always when they committed wrong. There would be loud moaning of the earth followed by an eruption of fire and lava or abu. Now, Aswang had no fire in his abode inside Mount Malinaw or to the north of Albay. He wanted to be as powerful as Gugurang. At last, if the people aroused his wrath, he wanted to subdue them by a fire or rumbling in Mount Malinaw. This was Tail Holden. He entreated Gugurang to give him some fire, but Gugurang emphatically refused. How dare you ask for my fire? Gugurang thundered. The earth trembled. Don't you know that when the fire in my seat is carried by hands such as yours, the whole world will be set on fire? But I will be very careful, replied Aswang. Be careful? I myself with all my power cannot handle it. But how can you threaten the people with it? It is not my will that does it. It is someone else that you or I do not know, nor will I ever know. But the rainy days are coming, and I need fire to make me warm in Mount Malinaw. Why? Answered Gugurang. You have lived there for many years, and this is the first time that you have asked me for it. What will you use for the fire? Look at your people, they can't live without it. Well, it is time for you to give them for fire now. Give them fire? Burst Gugurang. The earth shocked and the people were more afraid. But soon Gugurang quelled the commotion. Aswang himself was frightened. He never saw him that way before. They are not fit to have it yet. They must make themselves worthy. Well, am I not worthy? You, Lee God. Look at your rug mountain and compare it to Mayun, which is the most beautiful in the world. Aswang argued with him for a long time, but Gugurang would not be budged an inch. Aswang suddenly discovered, which before he had not, that Gugurang was all-powerful. Aswang narrowed his eyes and smiled with sinister import. He decided to oppose him from now on. You want to be an omnipotent power, Aswang cried. But between us two, there is not much difference. Why? I live in a humble place like Mount Malinaw, while you sit here gloating over your power, unlimited and unchecked. Stop! The earth shivered as Gogorang stamped his feet on the ground. Aswang only smiled this time. That made Gogorang angry all the more. He struck out, but before his blow could land, Aswang had vanished already. Gugurang was greatly amazed at the new power of Aswang in making himself invisible. Then, from a short distance in a room came the voice of the evil one. If I cannot get fire in a good well, I will in bad. I will steal it. Try, and before you can do that, I will cut your mountain into twain. Then let there be a war between us, countered Aswang. Thus the good and evil became enemies from that time on. Motives were many to prove that Aswang was ambitious. It could not be doubted that the power of rule intrigued him. He determined to oppose every move of Gogorang. He gathered around him evil counselors and evil spirits, whom he sent to the earth to turn the people to evil ways. After that, there was much immorality, lawlessness, and crime. Gugurang in no time found out that it was Aswang who was causing all these things. He sent he sent rather pestilence to the barrios, and for a moment the people turned to the omnipotent for protection. Gugurang asked them for another atang or sacrifice, and warned them to follow his commandments strictly or be exterminated by flood or eruption. Against Aswang himself, Gogorang was powerless to do anything. It seems that the twinkle of an eye, Aswang Kim possessed hidden powers hitherto denied him. Gugurang particularly guarded his fire, lest his enemy make good his threat of stealing it. He assigned his trusted helpers or katambang to guard the symbol of his power. He was afraid, besides, that if the fire were to go out of its confines, the world would be consumed in a mighty conflagration. But in spite but in spite of precaution taken, Aswang was able to enter and locate the guarded object, and with many guiles and wiles. He bribed the guards with gold or balaua, bu, bulauan. The temptation or sugot was too sweet to be denied. Hence, Aswang obtained possession of Gogorang's fire. Putting it inside a coconut shell, he started with it. Gugurang in his throne suddenly noticed that everything around him turned black, and that there were cries in the bowels of the volcano. But, but outside, the world was you fire. Every varyo that Aswang fast caught fire. Aswang! Gugurang cried, and with this he flew into the air for sowing thief. While terror reigned among the people who were powerless against the conflagration. Gugurang and Aswang raced for supremacy. Gugurang must get the fire back, or else Aim would be left without any power at all. All the air around grew hot, but still they madly on. Aswang was nearing his seat, and if he could get there before Gugurang, the would be lost for the good God, who would then be under the spell of the devil. Aswang braced up for the last stride, and just as he was about to descend Mount Malinaw, Gugurang caught up with him, snatched the fire in the coconut shell, and vanished with it. Aswang was greatly surprised. He could not make himself invisible. It as he would could make himself invisible, it as he would Gugurang on reaching Mount Mayun, return the fire to its place, and everything as bright again inside. Now, before doing anything else, he said about stopping the conflagration. He bade the heavens, or kalangitan, to rain continuously, and there was end, and the vague fire was under control. The people at once offered atangs because they were convinced it was Gogurang who had caused the fire because of their wickedness. Then Gugurang punished the guards by chaining them to the principals. Then, for his revenge on Aswang, he ordered lighting or linti and thunder or the lugdug to strike here against Mount Malinaw that was defying him. Aswang attempted to bribe and the lugdug. What is the use of your serving a master when you do not receive any reward? Aswang asked, "Why don't you join me? Here you can have what you want. You can eat your master." Lenti quiet. Taken as, "You mean what you said?" "Sure," the wily Aswang answered. "It is true. We are driven like slaves," said the thunder. At this, Gogurang sent his thundered bolt. Boom! Crash! For several minutes, the world sank and bumped and sank again. All the mountains creaked. Then a mighty crashing was made that all the mountains creaked. Then a mighty crashing was made, amid the din. Gugurang din ordered the lightning and the thunder to stop. All was over in a few minutes. Then the people noticed that what was once Mount Malina was but half now. They thanked the Omnipotent for destroying the abode of the devil. Or to this day, one who sells the tobacco bay will still see that Mount Malinaw seems to have been cut while Mayon stands majestically unimpaired. The people for a time believed that Aswang was killed, but later his influence was eleven doing havoc with the populace. Incidentally, rather incidentally, the people got far for the enterprising few keep some members to keep themselves warm during the rain that followed the conflagration. Now, we hear already the story titled The Quarrel of Volcanoes by Venancio Prietoziga. The Quarrel of Volcanoes is such a nice story. There are so much moral lesson that we can get from the story. So, the story, it is all about the two gods. Gugurang, the good god who lives Mount Mayon, and Aswang, the evil one who lives Mount Malinaw. In the world were still young, they were friends, and one report said that they like brothers. They are both have control the welfare of the people. But Gugurang is much powerful than Aswang. Then Gugurang have full control of the people because just what I have said, he must powerful. Then, if the people disobeyed his order or wishes, he can cause Pete to rumble terribly. Then that is a sign of warning that the people who believe him is past his orders. And that is a sign of warning of the people. If that will happen, people who believe him is nag-alay ng sacrifices to arouse his wrath. Then, one day, Aswang asked him for fire. Asked for Gugurang for fire. But Gugurang refused. He said, "How dare you to ask my fire? Don't you know? If my fire carried by others such yours, the whole world set on fire?" But Aswang replied carefully. Then Aswang argued with Gugurang for so long, but Gugurang is have an decision or she have a decision for his mind. For the good of the people, he never give Aswang fire because Gugurang he knows that Aswang can't live without fire. For so long that Aswang lived, hindi niya narinig na humingi ng fire. They live for so long without fire. Then they don't need a fire, and all Aswang wants is to have fire to arouse to have fire in order that people as well as recognize him, because he wants to be as powerful as Gugurang, and not a reason that he wants only a warm when the rain is coming. Then Aswang he do everything in order to get the fire. He used the evil spirits, the evil person to send to the land to torn the people badly. But not for long, Gugurang noticed that everything is getting blacker. So he found out that Aswang are the cause of everything, because even Gugurang have guards to his fire, but Aswang and are able to enter because he pay the guard of a gold. Then one day, Gugurang and Aswang have a race, but Gugurang is more powerful and I think a smart one, so he win, and he will back his fire. So naibalik ni Gugurang ang kanyang fire, and then binalik niya sa Mayon to turn everything's back. So, be peaceful, will be peaceful, then matigil na ang mga kaguluhan. And the end, Aswang hindi pa rin nagtagumpay. So, I think that everything, walang mananalo na sa kasamaan. Then, as a punishment, Gugurang destroy the place of Aswang. Then, the people nag-alay ng sacrifice for Gugurang for as thanksgiving, or because they are thankful that everything turned back in a peaceful way. And the moral lesson of the story, for me, it's better to be contented than to ambition so big that we can never achieve. And may matatapakan na tao na may madadamay na tao. It's not bad to dream big, but in a good way, na walang masasaktan, walang madadamay. Ambition is such a passion, but in a good way. Baliwalang ambition kung meron tang taong nasasaktan na aapakan. So, much better to be contented and don't ambition a thing that kailanman na hindi mo naman makukuha. Because that's ambition. Lahat ng ambitions, hindi naman lahat na mapupunta sa sa kabutihan. Hindi kailangan. Like, wants a need. So much important than needs than wants. Like Aswang, he wants power, but it's not really needs. So that's all.